We talked about yesterday the Chicago Bears coaching staff getting poached, and it could lose two more pieces with the news that there is a coach available that may be coming to Chicago. We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. News today that is a little bit, I'm not going to say disheartening, because you don't know where this young man is, or where this young man, I mean, he's young, where this young man is going to fit in. He's older than me, but calling him a young man, shout out to you, buddy. Will Lawing is somebody who is possibly set to join the Chicago Bears coaching staff. Saw this first from Matt Zenas. He said Boston College offensive coordinator Will Lawing is set to depart the program with the Chicago Bears as a potential landing spot for him. Sources tell CBS Sports. Before BC, Lawing worked with teams like the New England Patriots. He also had worked with the Houston Texans as well, and he went, following Bill O'Brien around. So had a lot of opportunity to be there. Was an OC last year, and this is a very interesting one because when you look at his coaching history, the first thing that I thought was, okay, well, where does he fit in, right? He's been a tight ends coach. He was an OC and tight ends coach at BC. With the Patriots, he was a tight ends coach. At Alabama, he was an offensive assistant. With the Texans, he was an offensive assistant and tight ends coach. He was also a defensive quality control guy. So he has traveled around the teams in this league. But I was like, okay, but how does that fit in? We're not getting rid of Jim Dre's. It doesn't make sense for you to move on from him. So I instantly went, okay, well, what position did he play? Because what we hear from Zach Pearson as well was him and Ben Johnson were teammates at UNC back in 2004. So I look up what position he plays, and he's a former wide receiver. Now, he has not coached wide receivers at this point, but there are questions on what players or coaches could be poached away from the Chicago Bears. And it is very telling that Antoine Randle's name has come up multiple times as an amazing leader for this team, somebody who could be, a potential head coaching candidate moving forward. May not happen this year, but with him being underneath Ben Johnson as an assistant head coach, would he possibly want to go get some offensive coordinating duties under his belt? That may be available with all of the coaching changes that we've seen around the NFL. Is there a play calling opportunity for him that could be available for him, as well as being, somebody who can go out there and teach these wide receivers? That's very, very telling when you hear that Will Lawing coming in, playing wide receiver at UNC. Could he be the Chicago Bears' next wide receiver coach? Again, I don't expect him to be a guy who comes in here and takes over that tight end coaching spot, but it also could just be another offensive mind in the room. This is the one thing that I love about Ben Johnson. I've said this a ton. He works very similar to how Mike Holmgren worked. There were a lot of people that were up and coming, that were trying to figure it out, that were trying to take that next step, that were getting these opportunities. Could this be one of those where the Bears go, no, we want to bring in somebody else who knows how to call plays, knows how to draw things up, different set of eyes, and we just want to have him in the room as whatever it is. Maybe he's an offensive quality control coach or whatever role they put in place for him, where he gets an opportunity to eventually move up and take over possibly some different spots and institute some play calls that help the Bears moving forward. That's how John Gruden started out. That's how Andy Reid started out, all under Mike Holmgren. A number of people off of that tree have been very successful in this NFL. And so you kind of look at that and you go, well, maybe that's what Ben Johnson is looking to do, and to give a former teammate an opportunity. It'll be very interesting to see, but you would assume that the role is better because he left a play calling role at Boston College to come to Chicago possibly and do that. So we'll see what ends up happening. No official hires have been made yet. One definitely to keep an eye on. Let me know, do you feel like the Bears are going to lose Antoine Randle this offseason? Or is this one where you look at it and just go, hey, look, Bears are just trying to bolster this thing up, add as many play callers to the building as you can. This is just a stepping stone for the Bears to get better. It is not a stepping stone because people are leaving the building. It'll be very interesting to see what ends up happening with Antoine Randle this offseason. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. One other coach that I do want to talk about before we get out of here, because I think this one is very interesting, with the signing of Robert Salah to the Titans as their new head coach. Could we possibly be losing a coach on the defensive side that has been so incredibly important to this team. And of course, I am talking about Al Harris. You know that there is never going to be a play calling opportunity unless, right, like things go south with DA and you end up moving on from DA and yada yada. Nothing is forever, right? In the NFL, especially. I mean, it is the not for long league, right? Like, so there's always the potential that an opportunity could come, I guess. But with so many defensive coordinator spots now opening up, especially one in San Fran with a defense that a little bit banged up, but you could see going in, already has a culture established, already has some good players on that defense that you can build on. Maybe adding to that defense via the draft this offseason, which is something that they may need to do no matter what. Could that be a job that Al Harris is in the running for? I just think that it's tough, right? Al Harris is the DB's coach here, and you saw the impact that he made as far as scouting, as far as drafting, as far as signings, right? Like you go out and you get Nashawn Wright, Zay Frazier kind of fits that mold as well. We saw the development of some of the DBs around the league, although tap into today's Chicago Bears podcast over on ESPN. Hearing Jack McGrath, I think he unintentionally, or maybe he just thought that everybody knew, and I didn't see it, so maybe it's not news. But he dropped some news on Tyreek Stevenson. It's just like, I guess we're not learning from mistakes, and maybe that's why we didn't see Tyreek play as much. So tap in with that over there. I won't spoil it over here as of yet. But with Robert Salah departing, right, that could be an opportunity and another job that is open. And you want to know the one thing that we can see 100%. Al Harris is very good at setting a culture. And setting a standard. And that is something that you have to give him an immense amount of credit for. And I think it's something that teams are going to look at and say, that's the kind of guy that I want as my defensive coordinator moving forward. Remember, the Dallas job is now open. The San Fran job is now open. And he is one of those names that is in these circles. So the potential of losing Al Harris, I think, is a pretty high one this offseason. And that's going to be a blow that I think is going to hurt this team as far as evaluating some of these DBs. Now, again, I said coming into the season, I trust the DB guy with my life. I think that this guy, whoever's in there scouting wise that is finding DBs, has done a great job of it. But now the mindset has changed and the development of those DBs is going to be oh so crucial. What are we going to see possibly moving forward if Al Harris is not a part of this defense? How much do you think it would hurt the Bears if the Bears weren't able to bring back Al Harris? And here's where the test comes in when you are a good team. And this goes to Ben Johnson. It'll be very interesting to see, kind of some of the things that he says tomorrow at his press conference. I will be up there for that at 10 o'clock. The Bears will have Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson speaking tomorrow. So we'll tap in with that. But like when you hear the possibilities of some of these guys that are moving on, how do you go about replacing them? How do you go about finding the right guys? That'll be my question to Ben Johnson, because that's what sets apart the teams that are a flash in the pan and the teams that are consistently setting that standard and going out there and maintaining that standard for the team. Again, I think it's going to be very difficult to replace a coach as good as Al Harris is. It is why he was an assistant head coach in in Dallas last year. But right, like if there's a conversation to be had, maybe if Antoine Randle is moving on with the Will Lawing possibly coming here to Chicago and you end up losing Antoine Randle on the receiver tip, Will Lawing takes over as your new head coach. As your new wide receivers coach, does that mean that Al Harris possibly could get an assistant head coaching role here, a role that he has accepted before, that he has done the duties of, that we know that he's been successful at in his time down in Dallas? And that would be a very smart move by the Chicago Bears if they were able to get something done like that. A lot of questions right now, a lot of watching and waiting. I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of pearl clutching on my part, because I don't want to see this staff ripped apart and torn apart. But at least you get to keep the heads of this coaching staff for the foreseeable future. That was almost crazy. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. Having Ben Johnson, having DA at the top, do you feel like that's going to just smooth everything out, or are you a little bit concerned about losing some of these pieces? We talked about Bieniemy yesterday. We'll continue to talk about some of these coaches throughout the day as things change. But as always, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love. Peace.